And recording to the cloud. Okay, very good. I want to start off today by telling you exactly how things will unfold today. And that is, I want to play more of these who came in? Jewel, okay. I want to play these presentations because I think they're really pretty good. And then at the end of the class period, since there's only just a handful of people that haven't turned one in yet, I want to talk to you guys separately. There's no need to go through all of it. And Blake, by the way, I got yours. And who else did I got? Jules too, anyway. So without further ado, let's hear from Ileana. Oops. And let's open this up big and play it. Wait, I got a chat here. Yeah, I got yours, Jewel. We're good.
Hello everyone, and today I will be the Acropolis is the name of the hill where ancient Athens was founded. When the first inhabitants left the top and moved to the foothills of the Acropolis, temples and sanctuaries were built. The most famous of all is the Parthenon Temple, dedicated to the goddess Athena, the patron goddess of Athens city. Construction of the Parthenon began in 447 BC and was completed in 432 BC under the reign of Hercules. An Athenian statesman who started the project of building the Parthenon. Hercules would also rule Athens till then. The Parthenon was built by the ancient Greeks, specifically the Athenians, in dedication to Athena, because the welfare in wisdom, and was the patron of the city Athens. Athena was also the daughter of Zeus. The Parthenon also honored the Athenian people who defeated the Persian many years earlier. As a student, Hercules developed a demo carried based on the naval world. Most of the major temples were rebuilt under the leadership of Hercules during the golden age of Athens, 460 to 430 BC. Philadelphus is a dune sculpture and Atians and Calabos. Two famous architectures were responsible in reconstruction. Following the defeat of the Persian invasion in 480 to 471 BCE, mainland Greece and Athens, in particular, entered the golden age of the Philippines. In drama and philosophy, lecture, art, and architecture, Athens was second to none. The temple known as the Parthenon was built on the Acropolis of Athens between 447 and 480 BC. It was built with the white marble and the foundation was made from limestone, a remarkable achievement for humans so long ago. Inside the Parthenon stood a Colosseum statue of the living, Colosseum statue of the living future gods of the city. The statue, which no longer exists, is made of the gold and ivory and was sculptured in bronze. Athena, the goddess of warfare and wisdom, was the patron of the city Athens. Athena was also the daughter of Zeus. Inside the pavilion was a statue which was around 11.5 meters tall and was carved ivory and gold. For everything else, all background wooden or the statue was the city construction costs of the parking itself. It no longer exists, but I'm sure it would be an incredible sight. The building was constructed using limestone foundation and 22,000 tons of marble. It has 46 Doric columns which support the roof, with 8 across the front and back, and 17 on the side. Doric ordered was one of the 3 orders of architecture in ancient Greece. The other 2 orders were Corinthian order and Ionic order, but the Parthenon was Doric. The order was named after the style of Colosseum columns used in the building. It included the base, the shaft, the top, and the part supported at the top. The architraves and braziers and the furnace, each order has its own style. The record has the easiest style used by the Greeks for most of their buildings, including the Parthenon. It is believed that the style was first made using gold. The style features heavy columns, a saucer-shaped capital on the top, and no base. The Parthenon is covered in braziers and heraldic battles. As the Parthenon stands today, it is relatively plain and big, but there's so much more to it than that. Historians have determined that the interior of the Parthenon had one time filled with bridges portraying lost and important battles of time, including those inspired by the Greek gods and the Athenian worships. The Parthenon was decorated with marble sculptures respecting scenes from the Athenian life and mythology. There were 3 categories of the architectural sculpture. 1, the frieze ran high up around all 4 sides of the building inside the colonnades. 2, the metaphors were placed in the same level of the above the building, creating the columns on the outside of the window. 3, the pendant sculptures formed triangular galleries at each end. Parcel had many famous quotes, but I chose this one as it felt it was most relevant to the Parthenon in what it respects. The quote is, "Freedom is the sure possession of those alone who have the courage to defeat it." The 6th century AD. In the 6th century AD, the Christian Thistles conquered Greece. The outlawed pagan worship of the ancient Greek gods, and converted the Parthenon to a Christian church. They blocked the east side entrance and following the custom of Christianity, forced worshippers to enter the church on the west side. The massive statue of the King of God, where the Christians arrived, In her place, they put up a pulpit and marble bishop's chair. The Parthenon was renamed a Christian church until 1448 AD, when the Muslim Empire seized Athens. The Ottoman Turks converted the Parthenon into a mosque, yet kept many Christian buildings and archways intact. On September 26, 1687, the Terrans bombarded the Athens and destroyed the Parthenon, leaving it at the mercy of looters, vandalizers, and even tourists. Many priceless artifacts were lost and have been learned from this historical event. After centuries of being ruled by the Turks, the Greeks fought for independence in the 1840s. The Caucasus became a combat zone, and the Turkish army removed hundreds of marble blocks from the Parthenon ruins. They also used to leave coated iron pins which held the blocks together, to move forward. Atlantic marbles after the Holy Legend consulted and numerous military campaigns by the 1800s. The Parthenon sat in ruins and was the mercy of looters and pirates. In the early 19th century, Thomas Bruce, the 7th Earl of Elgin, moved the marble freezing and several other sculptures and put them from London to the remain of public display in the British Museum today. Parthenon restoration. In the 1970s, the Greek government got serious about restoring the rapidly destroying of the Acropolis and the Parthenon, which had become one of the country's national treasures. They appointed an archaeological community called the Acropolis Restoration Fund, with Greek architect Chris at the helm. The community charted every relic in the ruins and used computer technology to identify the original location. The restoration team plans to supplement original Parthenon architectures with modern materials that were weather-resistant, coarse, and illustrate and support the intelligent of destruction. Where needed, new marbles in the area where the original marble was obtained will be used. Still, the Parthenon will not be restored to its original glory. Instead, it will stay a particular moment in the feature design elements and architecture that reflects its rich, diverse history. Some important architectures the remaining Parthenon sculptures were moved to a nearby Acropolis Museum. The Parthenon, the seventh wonder of the world, to be able to see history right in front of your eyes is truly a surreal feeling. The Greek architecture style and influence was you see all around the world on many continents, and the Parthenon is one of the most recognized buildings in the world.
All right. Let's see who's up next. I got There we go. And let me see who is, I got everybody here. Okay, good. So, let's see. Let's see what Evelyn had to say. And open it up and play.
Hello, my name is Ed. I'm going to start a historical analysis for the course. World Art and Ideas, number 1. So let's go ahead and get started.
Okay.
So first things first, we're going to be talking about analysis of a vase entitled Panacea. Analysis is by me. Well, let's go ahead and get started. And this is go ahead and point out that this is a picture of the vase that we're discussing. Okay, let's get started. First of all, we're going to do a brief table of contents. We're going to be talking about the identification, the composition, and location of the vase that was found in, the history, what does this object depict, and content. We're going to do a little brief background on the artist who made this. And we're also going to be doing a bit of an analysis and the significance of this vase as well. First of all, the vase was created by a famous potter named Ezekias. Right, very famous for his time. So identification, we're going to be talking about the composition and the location of this. So this vase was found in Italy, Italy. This is a rich city in ancient Etruscan civilization. The civilization was soon assimilated and wanted more to the following Roman Catholic as picture of it. Okay, let's go ahead. And also this vase was found in 540 to 530 BC. This vase was created using a black figure technique, which is the process of using black slip and carbon to create the image. So this technique is unique to Ezekias, the artist, but it is not exclusive to him, but he did in fact make it. So again, it uses black slip, which is a white colored clay that is painted on clay after it has been air dried. So after the base has been air dried, and then the black slip on, and then the details are carved into the slip, and then it's finally fired in the kiln. And the thing is used, it is carved using incision. Okay. The vase itself is called an amphora. It was 1 by 1 3/8 high, and it is currently in the British Museum of London. Amphora is a two-handled storage jar, oftentimes used in funeral rites, but not always. Most of the time it's just used for storage or dining purposes. Right. Let's go ahead and get into the history of what is the belief system and what does the object depict. All right. So let's get into a bit of Greek mythology here. So this is what the vase relates to. So, brief overview here. So we have the main gods and goddesses of this religion. So we have Ruth, who is the main god of all of them. He's the controller, and his wife is named Hera, and that's that. And then they have the big three, Ruth, Poseidon, and Hades. They're all brothers, and they rule over most of most territory, most influential parts of the world. So Poseidon controls water, Zeus controls the sky, and Hades controls the underworld, so the dead. And then relevant to our storyline, let's talk a little bit about Ares. So he is the god of war. And one of our characters in this vase is depicted as a demigod, so she is the daughter of Ares, the god Q. So we'll get into that a little bit more later. Just a brief overview. These are some of the main gods and goddesses of this. So the main thing we're going to be talking about today is the Trojan War. So the vase depicts Achilles, who is a major warrior of the Trojan War. Killing another warrior in this particular battle. So the overview of the Trojan War. The Trojan War was a battle waged over a woman, which is Troy. This story is that Paris of Greece saw Helen's ethereal beauty and was so enthralled with her that he took her from her husband, King Melanius of Sparta. King Melanius demanded her return, for which Paris promptly refused, which inspired Melanius to send his troops led by his brother Agamemnon to get her back. He fought both sides and the famous Trojan War commenced. Achilles was considered the best warrior that the Greek army had in the war against Troy. His invincibility and strength were thought granted to him because he took a dip in the river Styx, which is a mythical river from the Apple, place where the dead reside. It is of the deepest black and said to be a river of promise, a river to swear by, as it is considered the most binding oath. The mythical properties relating to Achilles are that it gives one invincibility. The story is that when Achilles was a baby, he was foretold that he would die young, so his mother dipped him in this river Styx, so he would be protected. However, she held him by his ankle. So the ankle wasn't dipped in, as his heel wasn't dipped in. This was his mortal weakness, and what became his ankle, and what we get the name of his heel. So this Achilles was invincible. All right. So that's a background on this war. So let's talk about the other character depicted in this space, Amphilia. So she is an Amazon queen, and she is a demigod, as previously mentioned. So she is half god and half human. And her father was Ares, the god of war, and that's where she is told to get a lot of her strength and a lot of her power because she is half god. So that's why she's so fearsome in this myth. She fought on the side of Troy in the Trojan War, whereas Achilles fought on the side of Greece. To give some context, the Amazons were thought to be a very strong warrior women tribe that lived in the island of Escamilla. The Amazons were a tribe, again, of Greeks. So it's really different. And if you've seen Wonder Woman, that's where she's from. All right. Content. Let's do some background on the artist here. His name is, again, Helios. He is a very famous potter. He is known for signing his pottery with Helios, made as you can top here. He is very inventive and created his own pots and then painted them as well. So he was a potter and a painter. Very aware of how it was made, so he decorated it with a performing mind, making it very innovative and sought after in the rich area of the city. He's very detailed in his buck figure and is, again, very much well known for his buck figure painting. And he specializes in illustrating myths, and this helps keep the myths alive today so we can remember them. He didn't ever show the exact action. He just showed the aftermath or the before of the story, making it more of a psychological twist here. All right. Let's talk about the analysis of significance. So the main significance of this is the fact that the pot preserves the Greek myth. So this work was based on Homer's book, The Iliad, which is the best description we have of the Trojan War and its myth. And its works like Achilles helps to better illustrate and help tell the myths of the time period and make it more relevant. I feel like this work is extremely influential as it shows a very powerful woman soldier in battle with the soldier of the Trojan War, Achilles. The art painted is what one often thinks about when one thinks of art. This is because it was painted with the black figure technique that Achilles makes so famous. With the intricate designs encircling the trunk and the base of the flora. Art shows Achilles in all black and Basilia with pale skin. The juxtaposition of color portrays the idea that perhaps Achilles was less cute and more ruthless in people than painted. All right, thank you so much for listening to me. And then here are my citations. Thank you.
All right. And so let me check. There's no chat on there, no new people. Yeah, that was pretty good. Let me see who I have up next. I think I have to go back, catch them in their proper order. Yeah, this way. And yeah, you see, Jewel, I got yours right here. But let's see. Austin, let's play yours. And there we go.
Start off. You would have that on time, so see that the pyramids of Giza are located. The Giza plateau, which is near to Cairo. Cairo is also known as the Sea of Egypt. Now we'll take a look at all the pyramids on Giza. In total, there are 3 pyramids that are on Giza. The first pyramid is the pyramid of Khufu, which is also known as the Great Pyramid, which is one of the tallest pyramids you can find. The second pyramid is the pyramid of Khafre, which is the second tallest pyramid of the Giza after the pyramid of Khufu. The third pyramid is called the pyramid of Menkaure, which is the smallest pyramid out of all the 3. These pyramids were all built during the dynasty. And normally, just built as royal tombs. 3 different pharaohs, including Khafre and Menkaure. The pharaohs were just the first pharaoh that we look at is King Khafre. King Khafre is an Egyptian king, the son of Khufu. The second pharaoh that we'll look at is King Khufu. King Khufu is an ancient Egyptian monarch. And for my presentation, I'll be focusing on his pyramid, which will be the pyramid of Giza. The third pharaoh that the royal teacher named after is King Menkaure, who was the son of Khafre, the son of Khufu. As I've stated before, this presentation, I main focus on the Great Pyramid, which is also known as the Khufu's pyramid. Some background of the Great Pyramid, about the Khufu's pyramid. The pyramid, one of the places, which is 469 feet. This pyramid also has a base of 2. And the pyramid is also built up of 2 stones. More background information about the Great Pyramid of Giza. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built during the time it was one of the richest and most civilization in the world during Khufu's 23 years of reign. Evidence also suggests that the workforce was around 20,000 workers. The construction of such a pyramid also took them 20 years for them to build it, complete it. The information on the screen will show you the buildings of the Egyptian civilization. The Great Pyramid of Giza has 4 sides, which are precisely outlined with cardinal points on the compass. The other fact is that the Great Pyramid of Giza is aligned with stars in the belt of Orion. And the entrance to the pyramid of Khufu faces true north. From all of this, we can draw as an conclusion that the architects of the Great Pyramid of Giza were extremely wise beings with an advanced knowledge of math and astrology. Next, we will look at the internal structure of the pyramid. The main structures of this pyramid will be the king's chamber, the queen's chamber. Just 18. figures. Ascending. She's then ascending. As it begins. The Great Slanting Gallery has its 46 meters long. The Great Slanting Gallery on the upper end of the gallery, which has a long, narrow passageway, which gives you access to the king's chamber. When we take a look at the king's chamber, which is that the king's chamber is entirely lined with granite, and from the chamber, two narrow shafts running directly through the stoneworks to the exterior. Above the king's chamber lies 5 compartments separated by massive horizontal granite slabs. The slabs was used to shield the ceiling of the old chamber by diverting the immense thrust exerted by the overlaying masses of stonework of the pyramid. Doing a little bit of research, I discovered that there is a system of why the pyramid of the Great Pyramid was built. This is the piece that I discovered. Ancient Egyptians saw the shape of the pyramids as a method of providing life to the dead, because the pyramids ascending towards the Lord. If you look at the way the pyramid looked at that shown by the image behind, the gold capstone tip of the pyramid was used to channel the sun's ray into the king's chamber, which was meant as a guiding light to the afterlife. That is the end of my presentation on the Great Pyramid of Giza. Thank you.
Deja vu. Good job, Boston. And let's see, we did. Yeah, I gotta go back. They're showing up here, but not in the right order. There we go. And we saw book hits. Let's take a look at Raylan's.
Hi, I'm Raylan, and today I'll be going over the Vatican obelisk's history, story, purpose, religious affiliations, and the legacy of the Egyptian obelisk. I chose this topic because of how interesting Egyptian mythology is, and to satisfy my curiosity of how and why these monuments were made. I chose the Vatican obelisk in particular because it appears in our textbook in chapter 24 and seemed to be a central part of Vatican City, Rome. The image in front of you is the central part of Vatican City, Rome. The obelisk is shown here. Before discussing the Vatican obelisk in particular, let's establish what the Egyptian obelisk is. World History Encyclopedia defines an obelisk as a stone rectangular pillar with a tampered top forming a pyramid set on a base, erected to commemorate an individual or event and honor the gods. Obelisks were usually made out of a single piece of stone and were set in pairs outside the entrances of ancient Egyptian pyramids. This picture is an example of obelisks outside of ancient ruins.
These obelisks would have been carefully measured and cut to conform to the size of a particular temple and the position they would take there. The location of the obelisk and its height was the responsibility of the king, who would commission both the temple and the complex structures surrounding it. There are 13 monuments in Rome and others located throughout the world, with the Washington Monument in Washington, D.C. being a famous modern representation of an obelisk. When the obelisk was created, it was dedicated to the sun god Ra. These obelisks also represented creation and life, resurrection and rebirth, unity and harmony, strength and immortality, success and effort, and it was a phallic symbol that represented the masculinity of the earth. Many of these representations stem from the pagan religion that worshipped Ra. They were also meant to honor Pharaoh's accomplishments and deaths. The sun god was thought to enter on a perilous journey at night, where he would have to navigate his barrage through the underworld and avoid destruction by the great serpent Apophis. The Egyptians performed ceremonies to ward off and weaken Apophis and keep the sun god safe, and in this way, they took part in the cycle of day and night. Obelisks served to honor the sun god as he rose from night in the morning, crossed the sky, and disappeared back into darkness at evening. Obelisks also had the practical purpose of acting as sundials, as they followed the sun god across the sky during the day. As time passed, the central purpose of the Vatican obelisk changed. As originally affiliated with a pagan religion, it was quote-unquote baptized into Christianity. It now stands as an expression of the conquering power of the church. Vatican obelisk was constructed in 1835 BCE in Heliopolis, Egypt. It is made out of red granite and is the second largest obelisk with a height of 84 feet. That's 135 feet at the base, and it weighs over 330 tons. It stands on the base 27 feet wide. The only Roman obelisk that is taller is St. John Lutheran. The base is adorned with 4 lions and bronze eagles, which were added in 1713. Originally, at the top of the obelisk was a bronze spear, but it was replaced with a large bronze cross with a relic of the true cross as religions of the people surrounding the monument changed. Here is the true cross at the top of the obelisk. The details at the bottom of the obelisk can be found here. Around 37 AD, Emperor Kaluga took the Vatican obelisk from Alexandria and had it transported from Heliopolis, Egypt to Vatican City, Rome, on a specially built ship and had it erected near the Circus of Nero, which was started by Emperor Kaluga and finished by Emperor Nero, hence the name. This is also the place where St. Peter was crucified upside down in 64 AD under Nero's reign. Starting in April of 1586, Pope Sixtus V had the obelisk moved 800 feet to the square by the Basilica of St. Peter, where it remains today. The move took 4 months and required 900 workmen, 75 horses, and 44 wrenches. It was the first obelisk to be re-erected in modern times, and is the only obelisk that has remained standing since ancient Roman times. The Vatican obelisk was transported from here to here on the map. Whether it is through the modern representation of the Washington Monument or the Vatican obelisk, the ancient Egyptian original, it is clear that the obelisk has made a significant impact on history throughout the world. While the representation of these obelisks change with different rulers and religions, there is no doubt that there are many symbolic meanings behind the massive monuments. As in every aspect of the construction and positioning of the obelisks, the amount of effort to accomplish this would have been considerable. But it seems to the Egyptians, the monuments which pierced the sky and honored the gods were worth the trouble. The rest of the world would seem to agree, as Egyptian obelisks or imitations of the form can be seen prominently displayed in many modern cities in the present day. Their long legacy is set to continue its course for many more centuries. Here are my works cited. Thank you for listening, and I hope you learned something about ancient Egyptian obelisks, and in particular, the Vatican obelisk.
Very good. So I think we can see a couple more here. Let's see. Rachel, you're up. And
This is Pisa Cathedral by Rachel Furlow. So why did I choose the Pisa Cathedral? One main reason that I chose to study the Pisa Cathedral is because it is in Italy. I have always thought that the architecture in Italy has been beautiful, and I have always been fascinated by the different structures. Another reason that I am choosing Italy is because I am Italian. My great-great-grandpa came to America from Sicily, Italy. Being Italian, I have always wanted to learn more about where my family came from. I also wanted to learn more about the different pieces of art and the different famous Italian architects. Also, someday I want to visit and explore Italy, and it'll be nice to know the different buildings I am seeing and be able to explain what they are to the people I am with. One more reason I chose Italy is that I want to be able to talk with my grandfather about it because he is always researching different things about Italy. So this would be something the two of us can talk about together. I chose to specifically study the architecture because I have always been interested in architecture ever since I was a kid. When I was younger, I actually wanted to be an architect. Some background information. So Pisa Cathedral is located in Pisa, Italy. It is the little cross on the map. It was founded in 1064, but it was consecrated on September 26, 1118. It was built in two different stages. One by an architect named Buscetto. He created the original layout of the basilican body with 4 aisles and 1 nave. The nave is a central part of the church, and the dome on the crosswalk. The second architect was Ronaldo, who extended the building and the facade. The denomination of the cathedral is Catholic, which means that they believe in God and they are overseen by a pope. So, one importance of the cathedral is that it was made because of a naval victory over the Saracens off Palermo in Sicily. The money that came from that was able to be used to let them build the Pisa Cathedral. Another name for the cathedral is Piazza dei Miracoli, or also known as the Miracle Square.
Rachel, did you stop recording at this point? Well, here. It is weird. Let me see if I can fit unnecessarily get paused for some reason.
Powerful that I have. I don't know what happened to it.
Well, it's my share.
Here's one picture of the black and the white stripes that are on the outside of the cathedral that are of the influence. This is a picture of apes with Christ in majesty. And this is a picture of the double archways,
I think somebody logged on or off and kicked.
the legacy of the cathedral.
We got it.
The piazza is considered to be the central of religious life. It symbolizes the main stages of the human life. There's the baptistry, which represents birth, the cathedral, which represents life itself, and the Camposanto, which is also known as the cemetery. And this is used to represent death. Now, inside the cathedral, there is also a bell tower, and it is also known by the name of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Now, the cathedral isn't the only thing that is on the little plaza it is in. There are also some other famous Italian monuments there. It is also has been known to be a place for tourists and university students to hang out on the grass around the cathedral. Now, it is known as the Field of Miracles after an Italian writer and poet, Gabriele D'Annunzio, and he described it as the Meadow of Miracles, and it got its name from that. These are my resources that I used for my presentation. Thank you.
Good job, Rachel. I want to apologize for that interruption. I think it was somebody trying to log on or something, or send a text or whatever, but if you want to see the whole thing, it's right there. It's in the media gallery, and there it is. And so we saw Victor's. I think we got time for one more. Emma. And let's look at it big.
Hello, my name is Emma Mantic, and for my presentation, I chose the Mortuary Temple of Hatshepsut. I chose this for my presentation because of how Hatshepsut, the status of the pharaoh, and how intricate the inside of the temple is. I also wanted to do more research on embalming and Egyptian religion overall. The Mortuary Temple of Hatshepsut is a multi-level structure secured in the limestone cliffs behind the Nile Valley. Built in 1479 BC, the temple is situated on the cliffside of Deir el-Bahri in Luxor, Egypt. The purpose of the temple was to be used as a funerary temple for the pharaoh Hatshepsut, who ruled during the New Kingdom. Hatshepsut was the daughter of King Thutmose I, the third pharaoh of the 18th dynasty of Egypt, who was known for his expansion of Egypt into Mumbai Kuwait, which is now present-day Sudan, and Syria. Hatshepsut became queen of Egypt at the age of 12 after marrying her half-brother Thutmose II. Thutmose II died young, leaving the throne to his infant son Thutmose III, who was born from one of his secondary wives. This led to Hatshepsut becoming a sort of regent for Thutmose III, and then 7 years later, she took the full title and power, becoming pharaoh and leading to Hatshepsut and Thutmose III becoming co-leaders. Throughout Hatshepsut's time as queen, she was always depicted with a very feminine figure and obvious female wardrobe and anatomy. The female pharaoh experiments with portraits that feature a male regalia and female body, but as she continued her reign, all of her portraits began to depict her as a full male. Through Hatshepsut's reign, her foreign policies focused on trade rather than war. Her reign was a very peaceful one. Building and restoring monuments and temples was a huge part of Hatshepsut's reign. Hatshepsut was ambitious with her buildings when she was pharaoh and held a long reign, dying around 1458 BC in her mid-40s. At the end of her reign, after her death, there was an attempt to erase her rule from history. Statues were destroyed, monuments defaced, and her name was removed officially from the king's list. This was done by Thutmose III to create a clean succession from Thutmose I to Thutmose III without any interruptions from a female leader. Religion is heavily linked in the mortuary temple of Hatshepsut. Religion in ancient Egypt was polytheistic, meaning they believed in and worshipped multiple gods. In Egyptian burial, the deceased body went through a process of mummification. The intestines would be removed from the body, and the abdominal cavity would be thoroughly washed out. The only organ kept in the body was the heart, as it was believed to contain the Ab aspect of the soul. The organs would then be preserved in jars and placed in the tomb, as they were thought to still be needed by the deceased for their journey. The removal of the organs signified the removal of sin from the body. Afterlife in Egyptian culture was known as the field of breeds, which was thought to depict a perfect reflection of the life we had on earth. The reason for these burials was that Egyptians believed that if the deceased didn't get a proper burial, it would come back and haunt the living. Every grave contained materials or provisions for the afterlife and the journey to remove. Tombs were originally very simple, just graves dug in the dirt, but these advanced and turned into intricate structures that held the coffins or sarcophaguses of the deceased. These coffins were securely constructed for the symbolic and practical protection of the deceased. These tombs were important as the tomb needed to be a permanent resting place for the physical form and had to be protected from grave robbers as well as decay and any physical elements. The mortuary temple of Hatshepsut was built to commemorate the achievements of the late Queen Pharaoh and is where she is buried as a funerary temple. The temple was built in reference to the mortuary temple of Mentuhotep II, who started the Middle Kingdom in Egypt and is considered the legendary king of the First Dynasty. Hatshepsut admired Mentuhotep II's temple and planned hers to mirror it, but on a much larger scale. Hatshepsut's temple is situated directly next to Mentuhotep II's temple, to show her mounting power even as a female leader. The temple was not built by slave labor, as many believe. By Egyptian workers followed both palaces, monuments, raised obelisks, and pyramids as paid workers. The mortuary temple is very intricate. The temple is split into 3 terraces or courtyards, the lower, middle, and upper. This temple was designed by Hatshepsut's steward and confidant, Senenit. The scale of the temple is 29.5 meters tall and 273.5 meters wide. The lower terrace is the very front of the temple, also known as the courtyard of the temple. It holds the entrance and the ramp to the middle terrace. There are 3 distinct areas in the middle terrace, the first being the birth colonnade. The birth colonnade, located on the right of the temple, tells the story of Hatshepsut's divine creation, Amen being her true father. The second area is the chapel of Anubis. The chapel is located at the ramp's left and was built to worship the god of death. The chapel of Hathor is located at the very end of the middle terrace on the left. Hathor was also known as the guardian of Deir el-Behar. The chapel has multiple columns known as Hathor columns. There are depictions of the goddess as well as depictions of anthropomorphic females with cow ears. There is another set of ramps located in the middle of the middle terrace. This leads to the upper terrace. The upper terrace has 4 sections across it: the upper portico, the upper court, the inner sanctuary, and the sun cult complex. The upper portico is a 4-front portico with 2 rows of columns. The external columns depict colossal Osiris statues of the queen, and only a few remain. The sculptures are Osiris with Hatshepsut's face and a beard with the iconic Egyptian curve that signifies divinity. The next area on the upper terrace is the upper court. In its prime, the court contained 2 rows of columns, of which only 2 have been re-erected. At the very back of the upper court is a sanctuary depicted Amen at the heart of the temple. The following section is the inner sanctuary, where ceremonies took place. The last area on the upper terrace is the Sun Cult Complex, which was a group of rooms, one of which held the Sun Altar. The Sun Cult Complex mainly worshipped Amun-Re, the sun god. And then these are my sources. Thank you for listening.
Good job, Emma. And so it's 6 o'clock pretty much.
Hello, my name is
Oh.
Emma Mantic, and for my presentation, I took
It's good enough to play twice, but you know. So at this time, if you have turned in your PowerPoint, it should be all on here except for one, and that was Medina's. I got it figured out. I didn't get it on here yet, and I got an email from Eddie, and I think he sent me one. And so I'd like to take this last 15 minutes and help any of you guys out that have any questions about how to get this done. And yeah, I'm thinking about you, Mackenzie. We'll figure all this out. And so if you got it down, you're working on it. Lily said you got your voice back. You're good. All right. Well, have a good weekend and let's take care of this, Mackenzie.
So you said you sent the announcement the same after you record it, save it as this, right? But I can't even record it. Like,
Yeah, I see that. This is.
I have the same problem.
okay,
There's not an option.
Jewel, I got yours and watch this.
For my presentation, I chose those would be.
All right. Is that fine how I did it with the recording at the bottom like that?
I'm sorry, Jewel, what did you say?
I said, is that fine with the recording being at the bottom like that?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah, I had to change it around a little bit, but I got it, and so we're good.
but I don't have it. in
So will I be presenting it next week? I mean, will you be sharing it next week?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Well, I think the school automatically gives you one, but
What?
then I'd have to start my whole PowerPoint over.
Well. Yeah, that was kind of something I had here too. I wanted to show you its modules. And but yeah, I didn't, that version of PowerPoint, I see what you're saying. It doesn't even have the record button.
The only reason it says that is because I was on the browser, but then so I looked it up
Oh.
on the help thing and it said, open it in the app. When I try opening it in the app, it says this. I can't even see my own presentation. Then it says show in browser. Or show in the browser.
And so, yeah, this is signing into Microsoft 365. And so that is, I think, kind of the part of the things you're supposed to have. This is kind of free when you.
Yeah, but that could have also been my fault because I did make my PowerPoint on my email, not my
Yeah.
school email. So
Well,
should I
what-
restart my PowerPoint and do it on my school email?
You should be able to like send over a copy.
Well,
Because if
I
you start
think
with a
so.
new presentation on your school account and then send a copy of that over to your,
Yeah,
from your account over to your school account, there should be a way to do that. So you don't have to completely remake it.
and so, yeah, here's what I
Kind of
was,
like with like Google Drive, how you can like send something from your own personal account and send it to like your school
right.
Drive.
But if
account.
you leave it in your Google site, I typically can't get it unless I get permission from you to access your Google account. You understand what I'm saying? But if you send it to me, then it's good. I think that SharePoint kind of works like that too. If you get permission to access it, then I'm good. But here's what I saw,
Okay,
and you sent this, and that's a PDF.
when I sent it on my thing, it says. I saved it, it had,
Yeah, thanks, Raylan.
the weird thing is, I turned this in completely fine last year, the same exact thing. and
Yeah, I know, you know how to do this. And that's why I'm here.
I'm at such- I sent you this
And then it ends up being,
as a PDF. There, and I know it's not my
Hey.
computer. And I've made so many copies of it trying.
well, I was kind of hoping that, can you have a USB port on this?
Yeah,
Can you put that on this? And then I get a copy of this that is actually PowerPoint and if you had recorded, did
You
you
know
do
what?
your voice? Oh, you don't
I
even have
can't even
that.
do that.
Yeah.
I'm already, I have so much homework to do with other classes, but if I really, really wanted to, it would take very long though, to find a different way to record. If I screen record the presentation, send that video to a different app and record it on that
Yeah,
app.
it shouldn't be that hard. Here's what I had too. I'll show you. This is in here. This is student support, and it basically gives you a lot of anything you need, student support, academic, technical support. Here it is. And it's 24/7 with all of their all the students' technology needs.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking that what you have here is not the 365 version, it's a different version, and that's why it's not letting you record. They should be able to help you get access right to it. And the other thing is, can you go back to that screen where it said log in to Microsoft? And let's get this figured out.
I've tried.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And
Yeah. And so this is what you can get from them. And I think that if you can get this from them, and you have your presentation already made.
Yeah.
And then it should open it up in the new 365 software, because kind of not getting too far ahead of myself. What I found out in digging around on this stuff is that they changed PowerPoint from last year. And I think that's catching you too. You don't have the new version. It's not letting you get the new version. But once you get the new version, it should be a matter of, 7, 8, 10 minutes to do your narration over that. So contact the help desk, tell them what you need.
Okay.
And if they don't give it, if it doesn't work out, I'll see you on Monday and we'll figure something out.
Okay.
And so, yeah, I'm really sorry. I think that this is happening to you, and I know you're a good worker and you get things done, and so that I'm not worried about. But
the only thing I can think of that's differently is this is a new computer from last year.
oh, well.
But this computer is like better.
Yeah, if it would let you copy that, what you had there, or let me put it on a thumb drive, I was hoping we could download it, and then, because I know here's what the story is. If you can record it, then just send it to me. Period. I can transfer these files over. That's why I'm getting these other messages. Hey, I couldn't get this recorded. But they had the version that we need. They recorded it. They didn't know how to get the recording play.
Yeah.
That's okay. If you get that much, I'll extract the audio files. And I had to do that for a lot of people. And that is, bottom line, what's different about the new PowerPoint. And not to bore you with a lot of details, but it's kind of like, because I've been doing this for like, as long as you've been alive and stuff, In the old days, when you took pictures, it came in 2 files. It would have the picture and then it would have this other kind of code gobbledygook stuff. They made recorded PowerPoints like that too. It's got a shadow file. I know how to dig it out. If you got the recording on there, I'll dig it out. And we'll be good. And so let's talk on Monday and see if they can help you get to that. Because everybody's going to be expecting you to have the 365 version, it's just that simple. And it'll save you some headache in the future. And so Mackenzie, thanks for being patient.
Yeah.
And have a good weekend and let me know what they tell you at the help, at the
All right.
tech help.
Okay.
I think they'll be able to load it up for you and get your computer now up to date. All right.
So.
All right. See ya.